A very interesting question I think that you should ask when you're asking questions about the role is, how does this role impact the organization? Don't ask questions about a scandal that happened. So they were in the news for a scandal, and you want if you do not want the job, it's a different ball game. But if you want the job, please face your front. Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome to my YouTube channel if you're a first time subscriber. I am super delighted that you're here. Please subscribe below, share, tweet. Today we are talking about something interesting. Yes, all my topics are interesting. This video is going to be very short, just a disclaimer, but I also think that it's something that I've noticed as an hiring manager that I've hired over the last 5-6 years, and just one gap that I noticed, and I just thought, let me quickly do a quick video about it. Can you guess what it is? No, it's not money. Don't worry, today we're not talking about money. I know I like money, and I've told you I like money. Even though I ask for my account number. It's something around the interview. And yes, I have a video on AC in interview. It's an old video. I probably need to do a new one. But today we are narrowing down to a very crucial part of interview. And it is straightforward. When an interviewer says, do you have any questions for us? How do you respond? Has that happened to you before? When the interviewer says, so do you have any question for us? I say, no question. There was a recruiting consultant with McKinsey who says that, I'll find the exact name and it will come up here, who said that when a recruiter asks that, do you have any questions for us? They are trying to gauge, one, how well do you understand your role and its impact on the organization? Two, have you even researched about the organization? So today we are talking about questions to ask at the end of an interview. Are we together? You know the habits. Grab a bottle of Coke or drink or cup of water and let's roll together. So one, what kind of questions should you ask at the end of an interview? The first section, you could ask questions about the role. So questions like, let me check, can you shed more light on what every day looks like, in this role? So you've read the job description, you've read everything. The fact that you're at the interview stage really means that you understand the job description, you have the right to, you understand, you have the value, the skills that they are looking for. So you want to take a step further to ask, what does every day look like? What does a product marketer do here? What kind of tools do you use? You might not have been opportune to ask that. For instance, do you use SEMrush? Do you use Slack, Trello, Jira, Asana? And what that question does is two things. One, it lets the recruiter know that you are genuinely interested in the role. Two, it's also helpful for you. You know the things that you have to go and maybe brush up, rehash your skills about. Maybe you never used Slack before, for instance, or you've never used Jira or Asana or Trello. You want to probably watch an interview, a short video on how to use these tools. So that's question number one. Another question you could ask, which is almost similar, is what does a typical day look like, or things like that. A very interesting question I think that you should ask when you're asking a question about the role is, how does this role impact the organization? So you're bringing me on board. So I like marketers a lot. That's why I'm always using marketer. Don't worry, don't let me use marketer this time around. You're bringing me on board as a quality analyst. Yes, a quality assurance analyst. So how does my role impact the organization? Has there been a quality issue previously? Are you trying to prevent a new quality issue? Are we launching a product that needs, more double check? Am I backfilling an open? That's one of the questions I used to ask. Am I backfilling an open role? Is this a new role, right? Asking all these questions, first of course, remember, you are trying to convince the recruiter, gives the recruiter the impression that you are genuinely interested in the role and the impact of the role. But it's also even helpful for you because you are now in a moment, for example, if you are replacing someone, that means that some processes probably exist and you are coming to just improve for the process. But if it's a new role, that means you are coming in to lay the foundation for the role. I remember when I was at CarryWise, I was the first HR at CarryWise. I was the inaugural HR. I built out the people and processes at CarryWise. Because I was the first, the intensity of my work was different versus when I was at Big Cowboy Media and I was the head of talent management and I was backfilling a role. I was backfilling meant that some things were already on ground. I didn't have to build a lot of things from the scratch. I just had to do an audit of what existed and improved upon that. So that's how to think about things. You can ask questions about the company, the culture, right? What kind of questions can you ask about the company culture? Company culture. You can ask questions about the company. You can ask questions about the culture. They are not the same thing. The first question is what's the reporting style like? Is it totally hierarchical? Is it flat? Is it open door policy? Some people say open door, but I don't know the open door. You know, I remember very recently, no, I don't want to share Twitter on stake, but very recently, one of my friends who now has moved to the UK said that he find it like he's struggling to call his colleagues by name. Why? Because all the Nigeria he has worked with is sir, yes, sir, okay. And I'm very sure that those companies also have open doors. So sir does not equal to open door, but sir does not also unequal to open door. You understand what I mean? So you want to ask, what's the work style? Is it collaborative? Is it individual? What's the reporting structure? Is it hierarchical? Is it flat? Very pivotal questions. Another question you can ask is, I mean, this one, I ask it if it's a company that I have slight doubt about, so you should be very careful about asking it. But also sometimes ask it just to know what I would look forward to. Again, I just like started interviewing a lot. Like the first half of my career, I didn't interview a lot because I moved companies like straightforward. But in the last 1 year, because I've been job searching, I've interviewed a lot. So this question is, what makes you excited to come to work, or what's exciting about working here? So most times, depending on the level of interview, either it's the hiring manager and the HR hiring manager, asking this question does two things. One, people like to talk about themselves. So it will just make them talk about themselves. And then, trust me, that is good impression because they will feel good after talking about themselves. Second, it also just gives you hints. If, for example, if they are not excited to talk about what they do there, my brother, my sister, maybe you should dust your slippers and start going. Do you get? So it's actually one of my favorite questions to ask, especially if it's two things. If it's a company I really want to work with, or if it's a company that I already have my doubts about, I ask people, what is exciting about your work? What makes you excited to come to work? What is exciting about working in this place? The last kind of questions you can ask, which is my least favorite question, but it's also helpful, is the question about yourself. So this category, my first question, the question I ask the most in this category is there anything you need to ascertain about my candidacy? That's a very big English, so I will break it down. It sounds like, do you have any questions about my candidacy, like my fitness for this role? So we've had a 1 hour conversation, a 30 minutes conversation. Is there anything that you're concerned about? And if it's an honest hiring manager, like I've seen people, I remember that I asked this question one time, and the person was like, oh, we are concerned about the fact that you have not stayed long in an organization. And if I didn't ask that question, they would not have asked that. I mean, I didn't pick up the role in the end because the compensation was lower than what we had discussed. But it was great that I asked that question because they would not have expressed that concern if I didn't ask the question. And then I went on to answer to say, hey, I know I've moved a lot, but all my moving was not intentional. And you can see from how long I stayed at Carrywise and how long I stayed at GE. And then I went back to explain why I left all the places I left. Why I left Taxi to GE, why I left GE to Carrywise, why I left Carrywise to Big Cover, and when I left Big Cover to wherever I am by the time you guys are watching this video. But guess what? If I didn't ask that question, they would have just gone with that bias, right? To say, that candidate is good, but it too they move, I beg. Make we know I am, make we know resign after 6 months. So that's my favorite question to ask in this section. However, another question you could ask, and I think I've asked this once or twice, and it was very helpful. I learned this, by the way, from a rejection that I got from an interview. It wasn't a job interview, it was a fellowship interview. And I just felt, I also learned this from Destiny. So please shout out to Destiny Ogedengbe. See, you inspired this. So Destiny Ogedengbe didn't say this, but I read what he said and I sort of recoined it. And the question is there any question that you've asked me that you will love to get more clarifications about? So we've had a conversation. I've answered your questions, but is there any of these questions that you would love to get clarifications about, or is there any additional question? So you're saying now you've asked me to ask you a question. I'm asking you back that is there any extra question you want to ask? And again, this has also led to positive things for me because I've been in a scenario where people then go back to say, oh, this question that you answered, can I make this extra clarification? Can you clarify more? What I've successfully done is that I've created another opportunity to sell myself. There are a lot of other questions, and I'm very sure that if you Google, questions you should ask at the end of the interview, a lot of things would come up. But three very important things. You can ask questions about your role, the role you are interviewing for. You can ask questions about the company, the culture, and you can also ask questions about yourself. Now, what are the questions you should not ask? Very important as we round up. Don't ask questions about a scandal that happened. So they were in the news for a scandal. And you want if you do not want the job, it's a different ball game. But if you want the job, please face your front. Don't ask a very pudding, a very intrusive question. Again, you have brain, so you know what intrusive questions is. Don't ask question about what MD that something happened online. They were in the news for something negative. Except you do not want to work with the company. You are just curious. But if you do, man, don't ask those questions. Again, remember, first thing, never say no question at the end of an interview. Secondly, go back and watch this video again. I look at all the questions. I've sectionalized them for you. Questions about the role. I'm very sure that as you're watching this, a lot more questions might even come to your mind. What are the kind of questions that you can ask about the role? Questions about the company. For example, you're interviewing with a finance role in a company. You can obviously ask about their financial performance. Okay, so I'll round up with this before I shoot my time. One of my favorite questions to ask, and I've also seen that people like answering, aside the question about what makes you excited to come to work, is how do we make money? How does this business make money? So again, maybe because I've been in lead roles. So I'm always very curious about how people make money. So how does this business make money? How do we make our revenue? If you want to sound smart, you can even go an extra mile to say, so how does what I do every day, bring in revenue for the organization? The interviewer like, no, this guy is very concerned, not just about the role, but about the organization. Anyway, I can keep talking about this because there are a lot of questions you can ask. But what I want you to take away is that one, it is very wrong for you to say no question at the end of that interview. So if you're doing that, please stop doing it. Two, you can watch this video and just align, and you can have a sheet, just list out questions, possible questions that you can ask at the end of the interview. Please do not ask more than 2 questions. Yes, I know, Sabinos. You can, I know you are a researcher. You can ask a lot of questions. Do not ask more than 2 questions. Thank you very much for watching this far. Don't forget to share with your friends that might be interviewing soon, your acquaintances that might be interviewing soon, your community, and of course share online, tweet about it, write on LinkedIn that you watched my video so that people will watch it too. Thank you very much. Don't forget the goals. We need to hit 2K subscribers before December and 50K subscribers by 2029. So the next time I show up on your screen is your favorite HR body, the HR beacon, Emmanuel Faith.